All right, today we're going over even more arm training, because if you're doing this, or even this, you're a horrible person and you're doing it wrong. So if you're ready, let's get after it. I know what you're thinking, another arm video. And I don't want to have to make another one either, but there's still a lot of people out there that live in their mom's basement, which is understandable. Times are tough, but I'm not okay with you looking like you live in your mom's basement. If that's the case, why don't you tell us where you get your clothes at? Because every video, 5 or 6 people comment, hey, where'd you get that shirt? You know what the creepiest thing in the world is? It's not meeting somebody you've never met who knows everything about you and you know nothing about them and they assume you're best friends. It's meeting somebody you've never met that assumes you're best friends and they're wearing the same fucking outfit. You almost feel bad. You want to apologize. I'm sorry, I'm fresh out of dirty underwear I can sell you. All right, mistake number 1 has to do with traditional barbell curls. And it's not when people curl in the squat rack, because to me, the secret to life is doing what you love no matter how many people you offend. The bigger issue is that most people don't have the wrist flexibility to pull it off. They can't comfortably supinate those palms all the way without having a pain in their wrist or their forearms, which matters. Because if you're focused in on that, you're less likely to focus in on the connection you have with your biceps. And you can unconsciously change the movement pattern to one that isn't optimal for your biceps. Let's use the old pink elephant adage to help illustrate this point. Now, I don't want you to think of a plus-size stripper who's a little past their prime and who's had at least 2 kids based upon the odd length of her nipples. Could you do it? I didn't think so. Can't do it with a pain in your wrist either. So what can you do? Well, for one, I'd look into using an easy bar, because they made this thing for special people like you. Because I'm sure you're doing straight bar curls because everybody in the history of bodybuilding has done straight bar curls. But if you're curling up and as you do, that wrist automatically turns in, that's a sign. Just like when you go out to eat and then you come home and shit liquid fire, that's also a sign. And with these, your wrist stay in a comfortable position the entire time. And then from there, it's just figuring out what head of the bicep you want to target. Go nice and close, hit that long head. Go nice and wide and hit that short head without adding any additional stress. Another obvious one is doing unilateral dumbbell or cable work, because sometimes it's not the wrist, it's not the forearm, it's the shoulders themselves. They can't tuck those elbows into their sides. Instead, they end up flaring them out, and then it puts more of a stress on that forearm to open that wrist even more, and nobody should look like this. If you do, just lock that tricep onto a preacher curl or the incline of a bench, and then you can work around any shoulder issue you might have. And then from there, just picking what part of the bicep you want to target. Another common issue I see is when people try to hit that lateral head of their triceps. They think just because they're using a rope, it's going to get the job done. But a lot of it has to do with your shoulders, because believe it or not, they're attached to your fucking arms. And if you're using 2 hands on the rope, then you're really limited by how much internal or external rotation you can get with those shoulders, unless you have a longer rope, or you can commit to doing it 1 arm at a time, which is not as much fun because you can't use as much weight. And when you smash said weight, it's not as obnoxious, but you can really exaggerate and rotate that shoulder in as you come down. So then it goes from this to this. And your shoulders can obviously be a huge problem as well, even on exercises where you think you're safe, like a concentration curl. And I see this mistake a lot in this exercise because people think, well, nothing bad can happen to me, so I'm gonna grab the heaviest weight possible and throw it up and down. Or all I have to do is shove my elbow into my knee and good things will happen. But if you're not focused in on making sure that bicep fights the weight during the eccentric part of the movement, that shoulder will dip in, jump in, and take over. So there's 2 things you can do. One, you can widen that foot out a little bit more, which is going to shorten the range of motion, which is fine. It'll just make sure that shoulder's already locked into place and it's only your bicep working. Or use lighter weight. That fixes it. I'm going to wrap this up by saying that I'm going to start throwing a mail time in some of these videos, because you'd be surprised at all the random shit that companies send me. Everything from Chinese Theraguns to ass spray. But I've learned my lesson and life's jaded me a little bit. For instance, one time one of my exes said, you know, it'd be great if we shared our deepest, darkest secrets with each other. I said, okay, you first. Then about halfway through her story, I realized, oh, you were a prostitute, which is a weird thing to learn 6 months into the relationship. She goes, no, that's not the case. Me and my friend just got paid money to do weird shit for people. I said, okay, give me an example. Well, one time we went to this guy's house, and you know those ladles he serves soup with? He had it shoved up his ass. And he didn't want anything from us. He just wanted us to belittle him and talk shit to him. I said, wow, you went from me judging your life harshly to admiring you. Well played. So obviously I'm going to get a P.O. box, because it's more than likely someone's going to show up to my house with a ladle up their ass. And as hilarious as that is, I don't want to have to explain that to my wife. And if you haven't got a chance to check out the 30-day program, I'll leave a link below. There's been over 15,000 people that have taken it, and they all have a love-hate relationship with it. I've only had to give 2 refunds, and they're to the same guy because he bought the thing 3 times. Don't ask me. And if you haven't got a chance to watch these 2 videos, I'd watch those next. But most importantly, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video because that helps grow this channel. And get after it, get growing. Talk to you soon.